three. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
All right, everybody, welcome to Teaching Crypto's AZcrypto, right on the dot. I timed it perfectly with yourself on Friday. Let's get off to a good start. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button, share, and super chats are available, guys. Friday, and yes, Bitcoin has not done much since our last show, but I want to talk about it, Mr. FOMO, because we had an angry viewer get frustrated with me and the show. Call me a moon boy because Bitcoin did not go to 34K and it won't get to 34K this month. Now, I'm 100% honest. I completely missed the Bitcoin price this month. I thought we would hold 30 and head to 34. And I thought that we would hit 40, not stay at 40, but touch 40 before 2024. Now, the question is, am I giving up on Bitcoin? Absolutely not. Am I giving up on Bitcoin for August? Kind of. And let me explain why. I do think it's important to hold 25, that 25K mark, right? I'm not expecting 20K. I'm really not. Okay. I'm not going to guarantee it's not going to happen because that would be foolish. Like I never guaranteed we'd get 34. I just thought we would. Now, I really do expect a good October, not September. Doesn't mean you should leave the show for the next 30 days. We got some exciting content coming. In fact, these next 30 days might be one of the best times to accumulate, and we'll explain why on this show in the entire cycle, actually. So this is actually not the time to go away. It's the exact opposite. I'm very bullish on October. I do think we will reclaim 30, Mr. FOMO, and I do think we have another leg up before we kind of go a little bit back down in December. And then I think we'll come back up before the halving. And we talked about this. Bitcoin and crypto never go straight up, right? So yes, I did miss August. Mr. FOMO did not. That's the beauty of the show. So no need to get angry. If you pick me, you picked the wrong horse for this month. But I'll bounce back. Don't worry. So Mr. FOMO, I think we got to get some perspective here. If you were all in on Bitcoin going to 34K this month and your world is over, you're doing it wrong. Right.
Yeah. And we talked about changing your mindset, in the last show, I believe we talked about, these are the times where you need to load up your cannons. And so right now you have the opportunity to make that purchase that you might've made at, that DCA that you might've made at 30,000 at 25,000, and you're going to get more Satoshis for that. And so it works out in the end if you have the right mindset, because this is going to give you more time to build going into the bull run. And my skepticism isn't going to pay off all the way through. And part of that skepticism was kind of the hope that we would see more cheap Satoshis, because a guy like me is still filling his bags, right? Like I don't have tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars to throw at this. I'm a Florida teacher, right? So, regular people like us, it's going to take us time to build up a bag that will make a significant difference in our lives. And so right now we have the opportunity to fill that bag with Satoshis or whatever other crypto. I mean, there's deals all over the market. So when you really look at the market right now, your mindset shouldn't be, unless you've dumped all your money in at once and you don't have anything left on the side, your mindset shouldn't be, oh my God, this thing is doomed, it's over.
And not financial advice, but you also, sorry to interrupt, if you put all your money in Bitcoin and you need it now to live, and you were planning on 40K or 35K this month and you didn't get it, and now you're in trouble and you have to sell, you did it wrong too.
Yeah. And I just, it's about your mindset. It's about your timing. It's about, how you allocate money towards investments. There's a lot that goes into play there, but the idea behind these times, these are DCA days. These are the days where you take that dry powder and you throw it at Bitcoin. These are those days where, you maybe don't have that coffee at Starbucks or Dunkin', and you don't have that that lunch, you take your lunch to work with you, to make sure that you have a little bit of dry powder on the side so that you can throw it at Bitcoin or your favorite altcoin, like I said.
Or if you're like AZcrypto, you skip lunch, but that's a whole nother show. Now, let's take a look at this here. This is Pantera Capital, and this is kind of just some projections. It's good to see all different types of point of view. You see where prices were at the halving, which is interesting, right? You go back all the way to 2012, at the halving, $12, 2016, 648, all the way up to 8,825. Now, this is just one projection, but they project the halving price to be 35,448. Now, I'm not too much against this prediction, and here's why, Mr. FOMO. I do think we're going to hit 40 sometime around January 2024, but I do think we're also going to see a bit of a retrace. Now, I think we're going to be above 35.4 personally before the halving. I think we're actually going to be pushing closer, maybe a little bit closer to the 45.50 range, and then pull back. So my prediction is probably in the somewhere in the 40s, but I'm not way that far off. Now, what's interesting is they're a little more bullish than me on the ending price for that. Remember, it's impossible to gauge what exactly the top is going to be and when it's going to happen. And sometime in 2025, most people think you're either on the May 2025 or the November 25 bandwagon, depending on how you look at things. The 147K for me is a bit aggressive. I'm looking at 90 to 120, but it's not crazy at all. It's not like they're saying a million this cycle or anything like that. So this is pretty interesting in terms of projections. I think this is fairly reasonable here.
And a couple of things about the market and the cycle. There is a 4-year cycle with the market. That is what we talk about when we talk about the cyclical nature of this market. But there are also variations each cycle. Last cycle we had a double top.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who's to say that we couldn't have a double bottom here in this bear market, right? It doesn't, there's nothing scripted in this that says that we have to do something, right? And I fully expect, looking at the macro, like just looking at the world economy, looking at everything that's going on, looking at the Fed and what they're planning on doing and what people are betting, I'm thinking October, we're going to see some positive price movement. November, December, we get into the holidays. People are saving that money for gifts, whatever else, parties.
Bears playoff tickets, Mr. FOMO.
Exactly. And then January, you've got people paying off those credit cards. So it's still going to be a little ways. So I'm looking at February before you see any kind of significant growth. But that's my skepticism, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're also looking at people are saying that the Fed may turn around and start cutting as early as February, which would line us up for April. Now, they still don't look like they're planning on cutting anytime soon, cutting those interest rates anytime soon. As a matter of fact, it seems like they want to raise them. So we'll have to see what happens with the Fed and what happens in the rest of the market. But to me, I can see positive growth in October, chopping sideways through January, and then seeing some real significant growth in February, March, April as we get to that halving event.
So I just do not see, and again, I'm going to say this, I could be wrong. I do not see 4 straight months of negative price action for the rest of the year. Yes, there are a lot of things that are happening around the world, but there are also some positive financial numbers if you zoom out and project over the next 18 to 24 months. It's really, you can make the numbers look any way you want sometimes. So it kind of depends what data you want to look at. There are some companies around the world that are in record profits, by the way, that not a lot of people talk about that
right
over the last 12 months. So it's, not everyone is crying poor. Not everyone is doing well. It's a matter of perspective. It's the numbers you want to look at. I do think the U.S. economy will start showing some even more positive growth in 2024. I don't see a deep recession coming. Remember, people have been calling for a recession now for almost 18 months. And we really haven't seen a true recession. Yes, we've seen some down numbers here and there, but we've also seen some positive numbers. So I don't want to say that with the rate cuts, they've achieved their soft landing. That would be a bit outlandish for me to say that. But I do think, as for now, we've avoided a catastrophe. And I do think over time, if you zoom out, over 2 to 3 to 4 years, the US economy does tend to bounce back during worse times. And so obviously COVID was a very, very, how do I put it, complicated situation. And then you had extreme inflation, inflation that a lot of us had never seen in our lifetime. And it's taken some time for that to kind of wear down. It still exists. It's not over, right? But
It's not going to go away.
I don't see a historic recession, and I'm not an economist. I don't see a historic recession destroying the next bull run. That's what I'm trying to say here. Okay.
Well, I do see that have an effect on the next bull run, and that's why I like your conservative view on the ceiling price, because the average family right now is spending $10,000 more on necessities, and that is a problem. That's money that could have gone into investments, and so I think I think retail investors will be missing to some extent because of the inflation. And I think that's what you're seeing. A lot of that is what you're seeing right now is people just don't have dry powder on the side because it's hard to come by these days.
And it's not sexy to buy Bitcoin at $26,000. But
It should be.
the mindset though is when we do get, and I do really think in 2024 you're going to see $50,000 Bitcoin and people are going to be calling for 100, you will get FOMO. I hate to say it, but there's a lot of people that just follow the trends.
Maybe that'll be the thumbnail today. This is the sexiest time to buy Bitcoin.
Well, let me explain what I mean by the sexiest time and the best time to buy Bitcoin. So obviously we are well before the halving, right? And if you follow some of the pundits like Plan B, it's buy 6 months before, sell 18 months after. That doesn't necessarily completely work, but there is some logic to it. Now, here's the thing. I really truly believe if you buy now in September, you're buying before a little bit of a leg up in October. I'm not saying we're going to 50K in October. I don't expect 40K in October, but I do expect us to retake 30 and move up. So my 30 to 34 that I thought was going to happen in August, I'm now anticipating in October. Now, what do we do from there? That'll be very interesting to see what, there wasn't a huge appetite, unfortunately, to buy Bitcoin at the 29, 30K. Remember, we went from 26 to 30. And then with the XRP news, we kind of platooned at 31.8, but there wasn't a high demand to buy Bitcoin this early in the bull run. And again, when I say bull run, you're still putting on your outfit to get in your car to go to the game. The players have not even dressed yet. And so that's how early we are. In fact, we should call it really a pre-bull. I feel like I've kind of let our viewers down calling it a bull run. This is more like a pre-bull. And the only reason I was saying bull run is we definitely bottomed out at 15K. I just cannot see now. I will be really looking like a fool if we get down to 15. But I think last December's 15 was our bottom, right? And so we've been trending upward. We're still 11,000 up from there. Now, the issue is it's taking a little bit longer than some people thought to maintain 30 and take that next step forward. But I do think that is going to happen in 2024. My guess would definitely be October. October historically good for Bitcoin if you look at it. Also, like you talked about, the late November, Thanksgiving into December, into the holidays, a lot of people do spend on things besides investing. And so investing can take a back seat, especially before the halving for crypto. So I do see at that point there will be a pullback. Not a crazy pullback to 20K, but let's say we get to 35, 36, I could see a pullback to 32. Now, if we somehow do go crazy, let's say we have an unbelievable October, early November, and we get to 40K in mid-November, I could see an even dramatic pullback at that point. Now, remember, though, there is a bunch of things happening that could change everything. Okay, Mr. Slim, I got to make that Litecoin investment video for you. And that'll have to be a separate video just for you, my friend, because there will be a time where buying now's not the time. Do not buy Litecoin, not financial advice. But there will be, Mr. FOMO, you're laughing.
That makes my day every time.
After the Bitcoin halving next spring, there actually will be a great time to buy Litecoin, but we're not going to waste our time on that today. Okay? Because actually Litecoin, if you time it right, you can do really well. But you have to time it right. But Litecoin actually will be something we talk about later in 2024, not right now. Okay, we're not going to make things up just for views. But
And
here's
I just put in the chat that I bought some H bar while we were on the show, so that means
nice.
that in the next 12 to 48 hours, you should
Well,
see a
that's
market dip to.
well, we got. Well, then our next big show is going to be alts that are on sale, and we're going to get in the mindset that we're going to, Mr. FOMO. We haven't talked about this. I'm telling you now. These are the alts now. If you are ready to buy something, and you can always take profits anytime you want, but you're in the mindset, okay, I'm going to hold these now for the next 18 to 22 months. What are the ones right now that are the best value that are safe? But you could see substantial growth because right now, because of the way Bitcoin has struggled, you have some alts right now, Solana, for example, that are on huge discounts. That really, Engine is another one we've talked about a lot. Right now, sitting there at 24 cents, the market cap is way below where it should be. Where once Bitcoin gets going next year in 2024, if you are able and you have the means to buy these and keep them safe in a cold wallet or cold storage, you could really benefit greatly, because what some people do, Mr. FOMO, is they will invest in the alts early. And yes, some people will hold, but they will sell their alts and put it into Bitcoin. And then when Bitcoin, this is a strategy, when Bitcoin makes a leg up, they'll take out that money, go back into alts, and they'll go back and forth during the cycle. And that's something we haven't talked about before, but that is a strategy. Great question about cold wallets. Ledger is very popular, but there was the big pullback. There's some that we need to talk about. Aleppo is a good one too. But Mr. FOMO, I think we should do a cold wallet show.
Yeah, I think that's probably an important.
There have been a lot of technological advancements with cold wallets, even in terms of how they interact with your phone and stuff like that. So I think
Trezor is a good one too. We got
yeah.
Mr. Slim there. Their wallets are taking advantage of marketing the way that some crypto companies do. And so you have to be careful, because we've run into some wording on these websites that is a little bit questionable. There was one that you were looking at, and I forget which one it was, but they were saying that the wallet doesn't actually connect, but the wallet can tell you every time you buy from the app, and it can update. And so it has to connect somehow. And so there's these weird things that are happening, and it seems like there's some pirates in that industry as well, the same way there are in crypto. And so you really do have to be careful. And I think that's probably a good point. We should do a cold wallet show so that people aren't buying the wrong kinds of things.
Absolutely. And so what are we looking for? Honestly, this August, I'm going to tell it to you straight. I don't see a huge run in Bitcoin. I don't see us in that last week of August grabbing that 30K. Now, what I'm looking for is, can Bitcoin hold 25? And this would be even a huge step. Could it even hold 26? Those would be two huge steps. Holding 25 right now, I think, is key, right? Because you saw that the really, really small amount of time is spent at 25.3, it got bought up quickly. If you can hold between 25 and 26.5 for now, I think that's fine. And then we'll see in September. Remember, we still have the news left. There is a court case going on, which is pretty significant, about the SEC allowing ETFs, which would force their hand earlier. And so I tend to continue to talk about that an ETF would be positive. So if that happens and the SEC loses that case, that could be significant, and that could come in any day.
I think, and remember, I'm not totally against it being positive. I just think it will be sort of a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of a thing. You'll see an initial run up, but I think there will be a fall off too. It also depends on what's going on in the world, what's going on in the market. You were talking about price action at 26.25, and you can see that there's a lot of strength there at 25.
For now, yes.
Yeah, and so what you're seeing again, we talked about it at 29 and 30. What you're seeing again is Bitcoin is coiling up there, right? And so it could bounce from here and go back close to 29 or 30. But now so many people bought at that 29 or 30 level that's become a level of resistance for
That's
it.
a great point.
And it's going to be tough to get over that level now because we spent so much time there.
Yeah, and that's
And
my
so I think now if you're buying and you're swing trading, maybe you buy now and you wait for that October. If you're betting on me or you're betting on, whoever the other pundits, I think Plan B said 6 months out from the halving. If you see that positive price action in October, you can go ahead and sell and take profits, do whatever you need, not financial advice. But and then re-enter the market as we can maybe go down or chop sideways through November, December, and
we
January.
keep saying this, guys. Crypto never goes straight up. So even if we do have a great October, like we're predicting, I would say sometime right before Thanksgiving in December, you'll see a pullback. Just think that's going to happen. I do not clout C20K Bitcoin, but we will give you a huge shout out if it happens. If we get 20K Bitcoin, that's an amazing opportunity. I think the people that are calling for 20K are going to be wrong. We'll wait and see what happens. But you guys have a wonderful weekend. Hey, check out that fear and greed video that Mr. FOMO just came out. I'll be coming out with more shorts. And we got a very exciting show about some amazing altcoins that you should have on your radar to accumulate now, coming soon, early next week. For Mr. FOMO, this is AZcrypto. Have a wonderful weekend. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see you later.
See you.